You may wish to cover your ears.
The original Fort Snelling was what we call the lower post. It's where the walled fort is, and that fort was started in 1820, completed about 1824. And that's what most people think of when they think of Fort Snelling. This area is at a very unique geographic place. To our east is the Minnesota River. To our north is the Mississippi River. This is where the confluence of the two rivers comes. And historically, before the fort, before 1819, when soldiers first came here, this was an important crossroads for American Indians, for the Dakota people in particular. And it would become an even more important place over time. In 1805, Zebulon Pike, an American explorer, visits with the Dakota here, signs one of the first early treaties here. In 1851, a Treaty of Mendota will be signed across the river, by which the Dakota give up all their land in Minnesota west of the Mississippi River for reservations on the Minnesota River. And only 11 years later, as a result of the Dakota War, they will be back here, but in an internment or prison camp, as some would say. And they're sitting, at a place that is phenomenally important to them. But there's a key piece of Fort Snelling that's called the Upper Post, and that starts in 1879, and the Upper Post headquarters building behind me was built 1879, 1880, and it becomes the headquarters for the whole Upper Post area. And the fort after 1879 is going to see a lot of important history, kind of the harder stories of American history. One is that the Buffalo Soldiers, African American soldiers, were located out here in the 1880s. About a quarter of them were the troops that went out to the plains for the final Indian War, as they call them, of the plains. And then those African-American troops would go off and fight in the Spanish-American War and be a key piece of the Battle of San Juan Hill, where Teddy Roosevelt is famous from. But we never see the African-Americans as part of the charge. This fort saw lots of different kinds of activities, and it really varied intensity depending on when it was. During World War II, for example, they were bringing in all kinds of people from all over the Midwest, and this was a very, very, very busy place. But during the 1920s, this place was known as a country club of the Army. And people would come on trolleys or in their cars out here to watch polo matches on the polo grounds out there. In the 1930s, they might come, and there's actually a stadium built by the WPA, and they watched baseball games at the stadium. Whiskey the Horse was this famous trick horse that was performed out here a lot, and so people would come to see Whiskey do the tricks. And the band barracks, which is behind me, was one of the main buildings for the Military Intelligence Service language school that was here, that took Japanese Americans and trained them in decoding Japanese messages, used them as interpreters in World War II. And these people became a key piece of the American war effort in the Pacific Theater. But at the same time, America was putting their brothers and their sisters and their families in camps throughout the United States as potential threats to American society. This fort plays a key role in American history, and the flag actually comes down in 1946. And that's when the Army finally leaves Fort Snelling in the Upper Post.